This feels weird. I haven't vlogged for so long. I'm now 31 weeks and a couple of days. It's been a while. I can't even remember the last time I did a proper pregnancy update. I remember I was 25 weeks and I felt fine. I was like, this pregnancy is still amazing. And then I felt like I jinxed myself because it all just went downhill from there. And I kept thinking, oh, I definitely have to update because I'm getting like proper symptoms, like stuff is happening. Then I just never updated. I'm in my 3rd trimester. Bubby's due in a month, 2 to 3 months, depending how overdue I go. And a lot has happened. I don't even know where to begin. First of all, how I'm feeling, my symptoms, blah, blah, blah. I am breathless a lot. Okay, I have to start with the fact that I have low iron, and on Tuesday, it's Saturday today, on Tuesday I'm going to go speak to the doctor about getting an iron infusion a bit earlier than we originally planned. I was going to organise it at 34 weeks, but the symptoms are getting quite bad. So a lot of my pregnancy symptoms that probably started about just after that 25-week mark where everything started going downhill might also be due to low iron. 1 second, the dog is in the bin. Luca! But I'm so short of breath. Hello, boofs. So, get your nose out. So short of breath. I'm actually doing alright right this second, but in general, COVID is also starting to hit Perth, so we've had to wear masks a lot, which just sucks extra when pregnant, but that's fine. Tired, constantly exhausted. Like I didn't sleep that great and got woken up early today, but even if I slept fairly decently all night, I could still sleep and have like a 4 or 5 hour nap during the day and still be tired and still sleep the next night. Like I'm just constantly exhausted. Struggling to just walking is exhausting, and I don't know how much of this is just being super heavy and pregnant and how much is iron. I remember last time I felt so tired and felt the exact same way, and then I had my iron infusion and like afterwards I felt much better. I still felt exhausted all the time because I was pregnant, but like there was an improvement. So I don't know how much is iron and how much is actually pregnancy. I've also started getting nowhere near as bad as they used to be back before I got pregnant and before I knew my iron was low, but I've started getting the dizzy spells, the like starry vision. I've only had a little bit of my tunnel vision, I call it, where like the edges of my vision sort of come in darkness, and sometimes it goes completely dark, but sometimes I can just see like a little tiny bit of the world and all the rest outside it is dark. That's why I call it tunnel vision. I've only had that like starting to come in from the edges occasionally when I have my dizzy spells, but I haven't had the full blackout that I used to have, and I haven't had the full crazy dizzy spells that I used to have. So we're not super bad yet, but we're getting there. For body aches and pains, they are occurring. My belly is stretching, my belly's getting itchy. The main pains at the moment are my back, but it's not lower. I mean, like I get the lower pain because I've like permanently damaged my lower back and tailbone, but for the moment the worst pain is right here, right across there, and then also pain across here. So I think it's just the same pain. I got closer, I think, to 36 weeks last time, but just from like Bub stretching out my ribs. That was one of the worst pains last time, and it's starting again already, and I'm like, no. Bub is wriggling heaps. Yesterday I had work and I think I overdid something. I'm not meant to be lifting anything because of my hernias and pregnancy, mostly my hernias, but I kind of pushed myself a bit much at work yesterday. I was lifting large trays of the trays are metal, so they weigh a bit themselves, and then there was 4 kilos per tray of panned objects. If you're holding like 5-6 kilos close to you, it's fine, but the trays are like quite large, so it's just spread out more. And I mean, I lift them all the time at work, but this time we were rushing around. It's hectic at work, and I had to run the trays back and forth from one room to the other. Also had to twist a bit because one of the chocolate machines was pulled out so that we could use it, but fine for everyone else, I can't get my belly through it, so I had to literally like twist sideways to get through. I pushed myself too far and I got like a stitch, and I thought it was just from, you know, walking back and forth and carrying stuff and just a stitch, but then it just like it did not go away. It progressively got worse, even though I focused on resting. As soon as I'd done those panning trays, I didn't do much else, and it was really bad. Like I was struggling to breathe because the pain was like shooting, and I was quite worried. I ended up I thought, and I'm still pretty sure it was just the ligaments. Like I pulled one of the round ligament that runs up your stomach in pregnancy that you pull quite often. But I rang up the antenatal assessment unit just in case, because I was like, maybe there's some other thing that they keep an eye out for, and if people say, oh, I have pain in my right side, they're like, oh, okay, well, come in, it might be this, but it's probably this. But they said it's probably just round ligament pain, take a heat pack and Panadol. Can't take Panadol at the moment because I'm on iron and constipated as it is, and not allowed to be constipated because that puts strains on my hernia, and Panadol constipates me even more at the best of times, so I can't even take Panadol. It was 41 something degrees that day, and I was like, nope, heat pack is not happening. So I just bounced on my ball and tried to stretch it out and stuff like that, and it was still bad, but it has gotten a lot better today. So that's how I'm going. I am breaking out at the moment. My skin did get good for a couple of days, and now it started breaking out the last couple of days, but it's also been like 40 plus 5 days in a row, so I don't blame it for breaking out. That's the update on my symptoms, I think. There is one weird symptom. I've always, since I was a kid, had dermatitis or eczema, and it was mostly, it would come up on my knuckles. I don't think I've got too much at the moment, which is what's weird. But it would mostly come up like along here and on my like knuckles and stuff. As a kid, I used to get it a lot on my elbows as well. But I don't know why. I've got really, really bad dermatitis or eczema or whatever, whichever one it is. I don't know the difference. They've confused me. I was told as a kid it was dermatitis, and now I get told it's eczema, and I'm like, is there a difference? Did it change? Like nowhere, like I'm not breaking out super, like a little bit, because I'm always slightly breaking out, but not super bad anywhere else. My fingers are actually doing quite amazing compared to usual. They're usually way worse than this. But my big toe is like severely dermatitis-y. Like the skin is all bubbly and covered in like lumps, and it's just so weird, and it's itchy, and I'm just like, what the hell? Like it started and it wasn't visible, and it was just like a weird little bumpy bit of my skin, and I was like, what is on my toe? And then yeah, it's just over the last couple of days gotten really bad, and I'm like, what? Like why? And like why just the big toe on one foot? Makes no sense whatsoever. But yeah, so I don't think that's pregnancy related, but I have no idea. The next bit I will go over is what's been happening. I got into the MGP, which is the same group of midwives I had last time. All the GD stuff is sorted out. Everyone's like, sorry you went through that, they really messed you around, blah blah blah. I had my second glucose tolerance test at the very end of December, and it was perfectly fine. I definitely don't have GD. I've seen the obstetrician, I've gotten my Tdap, DTaP, whooping cough, tetanus, diphtheria, adenovirus, pertussis. I think that's the 4 of them, I'm not sure. The end of December, so that's all done. I'm not going to be able to get my flu jab because it's not going to come out in time for Levi to be born, which is slightly annoying. But and I also went and saw my normal GP and asked about the COVID vaccine, because I wasn't sure, like I wanted to get it, but I wasn't sure if it would be better to wait till closer to my due date, so that like if that would give Bub more protection or something. But she said no, get it now, because if something does happen and you do go early, then at least Bub will have some, hopefully it would have kicked in and Bub will have something. So I had that done recently. That was only like a week ago, I think, maybe 2. Everything is all up to date. The next step is my iron transfusion, hopefully, which I'm just still in the process of sorting out because my iron is super low, but my hemoglobin is still borderline. It has to be below 110 to get an infusion with the hospital, and it's 112. So it's like very close, but just over that threshold that they won't just give me an infusion straight away. They suggest going through a GP. My GP is against infusions. She's a lovely GP, but she wanted me to try switching my iron tablets, and like, I know it's not going to work because I've been on iron tablets my whole life and they've never made my iron go up. They have maybe slowed down its decrease, but in general it does nothing. I knew that, but obviously she's never really gone over the iron side of things with me, because I've been okay on my iron since I started going to her because I had my iron infusion. So she's new to the iron deficiency side of my health story, and she's iffy to give an infusion, so she was going to talk to me at 34 weeks about it, recheck and everything then. But my symptoms have gotten worse, and my midwife wants me to see a GP straight away and just look into getting an iron infusion now, pretty much. But I can't get in with my doctor for weeks, and the earliest I could get in with my GP practice in general, which is with a doctor I've never seen, so this should be interesting. Hopefully they're nice, and then they're another option for me to book with when my normal doctor is unavailable. Earliest I could get was Tuesday, and I booked this like mid last week, but I'm seeing him or her. They said Dr. Kim, and I'm like, I don't know if that's a girl or a boy, but Dr. Kim on Tuesday. Talk over all my iron stuff and my toe because it's weirding me out, but my toes are so gross. That's where I'm at. The next steps are my 36-week bloods and swabs, which aren't pleasant, by the way. They go up the 2 holes down there, which is not fun to do to yourself, but you do it. And then I think also pee in a cup and get some blood tests, and that just checks over everything again, checks whether I have like strep, group B strep or stuff like that. And by that point I'm almost term and just waiting around. But then there's another bit that I need to go into to update everything, which is exhilarating. That's when something's exciting and terrifying, right? Exhilarating? We're gonna go with exhilarating. All that's left to talk about is anything Luke wants to talk about, and
then see you next time.
Our home birth.
That we're probably not have.
I would like to have it still.
Yeah, I know, but I don't think you're gonna get it.
Okay, so basically what happened was the borders were meant to open, and I started massively freaking out, and I was looking into stuff, and my aunt said, oh, it's a pity you can't just have a home birth. My midwife, former midwife, she hasn't practiced since like the 70s, but we won't go there. Yeah, you can't in WA, it's so expensive, blah blah blah. And then Mika was saying how she wanted to apply for the midwifery home birth program that we have in WA, and I was like, can you give me some more info on the home birth thing? So she sent me the thing, and I was like, huh, this is actually very interesting. I could actually apply for this. Interesting. I thought I was way past the application. I thought you had to be like 12 weeks, but you just have to apply before you're 34 weeks. So I started looking into things. I was researching actual research articles and stuff, trying to get specific to Australia and WA. I came around to the idea of a home birth, especially after all the stuff that happened in our hospital birth last time. The hardest thing for me in our hospital labour experience last time was the fact Luke got sent home and I was stuck in a hospital, and that was the hardest thing about the entire process for me, which obviously you don't get sent home if you're at your home. So it'll probably be harder for you because you actually have to do something. But that is appealing to me, obviously, at the best of times, but especially because the borders were set to open Feb 5. Luke might not even be allowed to visit. The current protocols that they had brought in, they'd only announced for the public system, St. John of God, but it was your partner is allowed to be there, but once they leave, they can't come back. So that's for St. John of God, where usually the partners are allowed to come and go the entire time. There's no visiting hours like there is at public hospitals. Last lockdown we had, visiting hours were 1 hour for just the partner. 1 hour a day to visit your partner and newborn baby, and that was at the last lockdown before COVID got hectic with Omicron in Australia. Even at a private hospital, it was like, Luke can't, like, as a second time parents, like, it would have been fine if this was our first kid. Luke could have just stayed the entire time. We already have a kid, we can't just ditch him. Like, if my labour takes, like, if it's just a couple of hours, it'd be fine. And if I'm sent home straight away, but that's not always the case. It wasn't the case last time. Luke will have to go home. If the labour is long, Luke will have to go home, because we can't just leave Hayden without both of us for an extended period of time. He's never done that, and it's just not doable. And so I'm going to end up ditched with a kid in a hospital. But of course, literally the 20 minutes after I applied for my home birth through the King Edward Memorial Hospital's community midwifery program, that's who do home births the public way through Medicare. You don't have to pay. As soon as I applied, about 20 minutes later, Mark McGowan announced he was having a massive announcement, and that announcement was that the borders are staying shut. I'm very glad that the borders are staying shut. I am still considering the home birth. I've put in my application. They've emailed back saying they've got all the paperwork they need, and I'm just waiting to hear from them. They apparently don't have very many spots in general, and I'm applying very late. So
if they do, you care?
There
if you
is
have
a
one?
very, I would like one.
No, but do you really care? Like, it's at this point.
It's not air. I would be a little disappointed if I couldn't try it.
Okay, I'd be happy.
Yeah, Luke doesn't like it. What did you say though? Luke was like, I don't want it. But then the way you said it, I just laughed, and I was like, that's so perfect. You said, but then if I was the one pushing out a 9-pound watermelon, I'd want to give birth where I want to give birth to, so I'll support you. And I was like, it's the way you said that. I mean, if you were completely against it and had good reasons for being against it. All the research I did was that there was an increased risk if it's your first baby having a home birth, but in second and subsequent babies, I think it was to 4 or 5 babies after that, there's an increased risk again. But like 2 to 4 babies, or like your second to 4th child and labour experience, there is no difference in risk between hospital and home birth. So that is very bright.
I just googled good reasons to be against home birth. And I came up with what are the benefits.
Yeah.
There we go, what are the disadvantages?
Plus also we're a couple of minutes from the hospital at the moment, so if anything goes wrong, it's a very quick trip to the hospital. You good there, boss? Obviously the main problem last time I gave birth to a child was Hayden was transverse, which was meant to be immediate C-section and all that drama. And that was what caused all the issues, because he wasn't pressing on my cervix properly, he was in the wrong position, he couldn't, my contractions were everywhere, I needed the induction, all that stuff happened because he was transverse. Whereas if I get a home birth, they check Bub's position all the way leading up to birth, so that will actually be checked this time, and if Bub isn't in a good position, I just get referred back to the hospital. That sort of solves that issue. Yeah, obviously. I would love to, but
like massively.
Let me go on maternity leave and then I will.
I don't care when you go on. Oh, I know I do.
You do. I can't go on mat leave until settlement and all that stuff's done with our house. I've stopped working at the shop. I'm just working at the factory now. Yeah, so the shop boss said and agreed that it's too dangerous for me to be working there anymore. So I'm just working the factory at the moment, which sucks because the factory is a lot more physically demanding. So that's what's going on. Oh, good boy. Anyway, but yes. Oh god, I gotta do a belly shot, but we'll just add that in. Here's a belly shot. So that's it for the video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. Hit subscribe to see more videos, and we'll see you in the next video if we're not squished by a dog.
Oh, he punched me in the face.
What are you doing, you two?
He licked me.
Oh
He tickled me.
He's my snuggle bug.
He punched me in the face.
And this is not how you train a dog whatsoever. Also completely unrelated, but look what the hell happened to my guitar. Like, I don't know, we just did that one day and I was like, what the hell? Anyway, I also don't have any shorts here or pants, so I'm in my non-pregnancy trackies on a 40 something degree day. I mean, at least it's nighttime outside, but it's still like high 20s. But here you go. Whew. This is my belly. What the hell's that? Oh, it's on the... It's a hair on the screen, and I just thought there was this massive scratch across my stomach, but it's all good. But yeah, this is my belly. I don't think I really, like, I have maybe my slight linear nigra that I swear popped up like overnight. I said how I didn't have it, and then the next morning I suddenly had it, but it was it's still super duper light. Nothing like Hayden was quite dark and started way before this, so that's really random. But yeah, my stretch marks are stretching. They're not purple or anything yet, but they're definitely there, and definitely not the prettiest thing. My hernia, you guys can see it, one of them's just there, that little lump. There's also a second one that's like hidden under my belly button apparently. But yeah, my hernia is just there. It's not really doing much. Every now and then it gets a bit bruised around there. But yeah, that's my belly. I'm 31 weeks and 2 days, and I feel quite large. I also know I'm going to get larger than this, but I feel large. Yeah, that's my belly.